Bună ziua! Suntem din nou în studioul 6 TV cu un invitat foarte special pentru că a venit tocmai din Germania și mă bucur că am reușit să-l aduc astăzi aici în fața dumneavoastră. El este un prieten al României în sensul că vine destul de des la noi și face diferite terapii. Pentru că avem o emisiune de creativitate, am găsit locul acestui invitat care se ocupă de terapie prin artă, deci terapie prin creativitate, exact ce îmi place mie cel mai mult. Dar pentru astăzi am ales un subiect din cele multe terapii cu care se preocupă și este deja specializat și licențiat, și anume, poate ați auzit de acest procedeu, tehnică, artă, vom vedea mai exact despre ce e vorba, constelațiile familiale. Deci invitatul meu de astăzi este psihoterapeutul Klaus Kostka. Hi, Klaus.
Hi.
I said a little bit something about you.
Yes.
So please tell us what means family constellation, first of all. I said first that you are specialist also in art therapy, but our subject today will be a family constellation. So what means family constellation?
Family constellation means the way how you work with representatives on certain themes that you bring and that you want to resolve.
Okay, but I know what means for representative because I was to your classes and I noticed, but for people that look at us, what that means representatives?
It's like this.
Representatives from whom?
It's like this. Let's say you're my client.
Yes.
Yeah. And you sit beside me and maybe you say, you know, I have this and this problem, and I did quite a few things, but I was never successful to solve it.
Yes.
So then and you have the idea it's linked to your family.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Then I start asking you certain like basic information about your family. Like, what do you know biographically about your mom?
Okay.
About your dad? Maybe about your grandma, your grandfather, maybe on both sides. And I'm especially looking for things which were probably tough, which were hard, which were not normal, so to speak, you know?
Yes.
And let's say I say, well, for the problem you bring, it might be good to look at your female ancestors line. Yeah? And then I ask you, please pick someone who can represent you.
Yes.
Your mom, your grandma, and your great-grandma. And you will look at me and will go like, well, wait a minute, my great-grandma is already dead.
Yes.
That's
and
one of
maybe I even know her.
Maybe you even know her or you don't know her.
Yes.
Yeah?
Don't know
and
her, yes.
The great thing in constellation is we are not reduced to people who live. So I will ask you, please pick 4 people who represent these and you will go like, yeah, but I never met my great-grandmother. I say, don't worry, just go with your feeling.
Yes.
Yeah? And then you stand up and you go around. It's a group therapy. You go around and you say, could you stand for my grandma? Could you stand for mama? Could you stand for me? Could you stand for my great-grandma? And those people stand up. And then I ask you to put them completely intuitively on a space in the room. Sounds very abstract, I know, but I can explain it better. And you do it completely intuitively without knowing why you put this person where.
Yes.
And then you sit down again. And I give it a little time, so now something very interesting happens. The representatives start tuning into a certain energetical field.
Okay.
And they start taking on behaviors, thoughts, feelings the real persons had.
But how they do this? They are prepared for this?
No.
They make a meditation?
No,
what?
not at all. Not at all. It goes like this.
And how is it possible to go like this?
It's like we are much more connected than we think.
Yes.
Not only in this direct contact,
yes.
but also in the contact to our ancestors. You know, one of my teachers once said, if we could see all the beings which are in one space while we are working, we would say that the room is overcrowded.
Wow.
You know?
Yes.
Nice. And it's like the representatives pick up on the energetical truths, and sometimes they think of, although they have never met this person before, which are astounding. I can give you a little example. There was a lady who stood in for the sister of the person who had originated the constellation. And once of a sudden, they never met before. And once of a sudden, this representative said, well, I have to share something. I have a terrible pain in my left eye. I never felt like this. It's like as if someone is cutting into my eyeball. And she said, oh my God, this is not possible. My little sister had a very severe eye operation at the age of 2 years. And it was very painful for her. So, you know, it can be that concrete. So the representatives tune into those personalities, and then I start asking them, for example, in your case, how is mom doing? And mom might say something like, of course it's purely fictional now because it's not a real thing. The mom might say something like, well, you know, I'm not really interested in all these people around me, and my focus is a little bit on my daughter, but my mother gives me the chills, you know, and my grandma, and the grandma might say, well, you know, I feel really angry, and your representative might say, well, I don't feel anything, I only feel heavy like lead, stuff like this. And then we start working with this. Working with this means I change positions, or I add someone when I think someone is missing, and I have people say certain phrases to each other, which have a archetypical healing quality.
Yes.
And so piece by piece we start to normalize, and although I don't like the word, harmonize the relationship between the people again. Yeah. And in the end, when it goes really well, in the end we have a configuration of people who are at least okay where they are, and at best they really feel well where they are. You know, and at that point I have the representative of yours sit down, and I get you into the picture.
Okay.
And sometimes you will have to repeat a few steps the representative has done for you before, because you of course bring all the real stories, and your representative has only picked up on the energetical truth. You know, and then in the end, for example, in this case, you will feel the lineage of female ancestors behind you, and maybe you can lean against them, and maybe you can start to relax, and maybe for the first time in your life you feel, I'm not alone. I'm held. They're here for me, and that gives you a lot of power, a lot of strength, a lot of new possibilities.
So there are a group of people, and there are not your family. No. They could be people totally unknown. Totally unknown.
It's even better if they're unknown, because normally if you would pick someone who knows you well, I would, and
the mind it's working.
And I sense this. I would ask, do you know each other well? And you would say, yeah, she's my best friend. I would say, you cannot pick her, because she has already a preconceived idea about what you want.
Yes, and the mind must stay free.
It must stay free, yeah.
Okay.
As free as possible, yeah.
Okay. And the people are agreed to be in this situation?
Yes. Yes, of course I tell them always when we start the workshop that it's okay if they say, if they're invited for a constellation, they can always say, no, I don't want to.
I don't feel like.
I don't feel like. But I also say, don't do it too often, because it really gives you an incredible possibility. You have feelings you normally don't have. You have body sensations you normally don't have. You have thoughts you normally don't have, you know. Yes. And that's really a big step also on your personal path. Yeah, because you make experiences you have not made before.
Yes. And it's you, the therapist, who do something for these people to could connect with this type of energy?
No.
No?
No.
The connection is just like this?
It's the field. We call it the field. And
Yes.
it's there. You know, I always tell people, you know, I don't have a magic wand,
Yes.
baguetta magica. I like this expression, you know. And
Yes.
I will not do the work for you. You know, you have to do the work, and I'll be only as, if you like, the most experienced patient. You know?
Okay, I
Because I've
understand.
traveled some roads already you have not yet traveled, so I know where you should put your foot and where you probably should not go. You know?
What are the problems? The people come to you or to this kind of group therapy with some problems. What are the problems?
Well, there's quite a few things. I mean, it goes from I don't fall pregnant. Why is that? And I would like to my relationship doesn't work with my partner, or my relationships with my partners never worked, or you know, I feel completely choked by my parents' energy, or we have children, we don't want to give it to mom, but mom is like, oh, give me the children. You know, I think it's a very
It
Romanian
happened.
problem.
Yes, it's true.
And this work really allows you to find out what you really want and to go for that. Right.
So everything is about families, or it could be other kind of problems.
It can also be other kind of problems, you know. I remember once a lady came to me and she said, you know, I'm just divorcing my husband.
Yes.
And we have this apartment. And we had someone who wanted to buy the apartment already 3 times, and in last minute,
Yes.
they said no. We don't understand. We really need to sell this thing because we need the money. So we worked with this, and I really had someone representing the apartment,
Yes.
someone representing the old partner, someone representing her, and someone representing the possible buyer. And if I remember well, we also had someone who represented like negative influences. And we worked with it until everybody had a good position and was okay.
Yes.
And 2 months later, she sold the apartment. I
So-
would not necessarily say it's because of this,
Yes.
but it at least helped.
Okay. So there are not only persons, that could be objects or energies or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Very.
I had
very interesting.
someone yesterday, and in the course I did yesterday, and it was about it was someone for her, someone for self-destruction, and someone for love.
Oh.
That was very interesting, very interesting. And it's like, you know, actually those are parts inside of us.
Yes.
And if we represent them, if we externalize them, it's very interesting, and it really has an effect. You know?
And how you decide the role, the people who, not really the people, how represent the people? How you could, in this case that you just told us, you decided to choose self-destruction, or you decide to choose...
This is because we
love?
talk in the beginning.
Yes.
And as I bring quite some experience meanwhile, you know, I've done constellations in France, in Germany, in Romania, in Great Britain, in Canada, in USA, and I do it since 16 years. Out of the 31 years I'm a therapist.
Yes.
I've done maybe 2,000 to 2,500 constellations, so that
Wow.
I have a certain intuition, meanwhile, experience,
yes.
you know. And so for me, it's important to really listen to the person, you know, and I make propositions. I don't say you have to.
Yes, of course.
You know, I say, "Look, what do you think? Or I have the impression we should. Or should we? What do you think? Like this. You
Okay.
know? And in this case, she was talking about how she was sabotaging herself, and how on the other side, she was not really able to go into this loving feeling for herself. And then I had this idea, okay, it was more an experiment. I asked people, are you willing to do an experiment? And she said yes, because people keep coming back, and she
Yes.
came back a few times. So we worked already with mommy, daddy, with the family and stuff, you know. And so we did this, and afterwards she said she feels really like relieved. Thank you, relieved, and she left very happy.
Yes. So what are the results? What happened with the people after they leave these sessions?
There's a lot of things which can happen. People can feel much lighter, much more relaxed.
Okay.
People can feel nothing.
Really? It happened like this?
Yeah, when I had my first constellation, it was great, but when I went out, it was kind of like, yeah, I had a great experience during the constellation, but now?
What I understand from this.
But looking back, it took me half a year to digest it. It came in small bits and pieces. It was not like this.
It was a process, yes.
It was a process. And sometimes, sometimes people even feel worse than before. It is important to understand, because when you recalibrate your inner image of your family, of your ancestry, then sometimes you go into what I would call a healing crisis, because you understand that some of the things you thought are true are not true.
And what you discover, you don't like it.
Yes.
It could be.
That's very true. I often tell people, you know, sometimes the outcome of a constellation is not what you expect. Because you come to the constellation, you have already a certain mindset.
Yes.
And you go like, well, the constellation should look like this, and then I'm happy.
Yes.
But the constellation is much more a work on the soul level than on the mental level. So the soul cannot be bought, you know?
Yes.
So the soul goes her own ways. And sometimes people are really like, oops, this is what comes out here. But in retrospect, they are more or less, more than less content with what's happened for them. And there was one lady I remember, and she came and she said, you know, I have a perfect life, everything is fine, and the only thing that doesn't work is I don't fall pregnant, and my biological clock is ticking.
Yes.
And in the conversation, it turned out that her mom had like 12 abortions before she came.
Okay.
So we worked with this. We had 12 people for the aborted children.
Yes.
Someone for her, someone for mom. We went through a very moving process where the children re-established their relationship to mom, and then in the end we had this long line, you know, mom, the 12 aborted children, which were energetically still present. You know, you cannot think you make an abortion and it's done. It's really, it has a deep impact.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it's a terribly wrong thing. I'm only saying be aware of that it has an impact. You cannot just do like this and it's finished. Yes. And she said, you know, for the first time in my life, I have the impression I have a real place. It feels as if I grew roots.
Yes.
And then a couple of weeks later, she fell pregnant. And she had a wonderful baby boy.
So it's possible also for children to come to this session, or it's too early for them? They could understand something?
There are colleagues of mine who work only with children. I don't do this. For me, it's like if I take adolescents from 16 years on. Okay. And if someone is 16, 17, normally I want to have a prior meeting, because I want to check out if the person is really, if she's ripe enough, if she's mature enough, because sometimes the things that happen in constellation can be really tough. You know, can be really tough.
Yes.
But the parents can work for their children before they are 16. Okay. You know, so they can come and they can say, well, you know, I have a real problem with my son. He's da-da-da. And I want to look at it. I want to maybe find out what's going on through the way of constellation.
And the mother or the father come alone, not with the child?
Alone, no? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after 16, the child could come to this kind of
Yes.
session,
Yes.
if he's mature enough, or
If
she.
he's mature enough, yeah.
Okay.
Or she.
Very, very interesting. So the benefit after a session like this is that you understand, or you just feel better?
Both.
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 Uh-huh.
And, you know, it's like this. That may sound a little strange now,
Okay, try.
but actually, our parents are not the problem,
Okay.
but our perception of them and what we have stored as a remembrance of them, which is deep inside us, that's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah? So this kind of work is a way of starting to heal these internal images, these internal wounds. Yeah? Which means sometimes even mom and dad change after a constellation, although they have not attended. Yeah? But in
Okay.
first respect, something changes inside of us, gives us more strength, more a more natural way of being able to be, and maybe a possibility to say, just no, no, I'm not coming, or I will not spend Christmas with you as I do since 54 years, or whatever. You know,
Yes.
like this.
You were surprised? You was surprised? You as a therapist,
Yes.
you discover special things in this therapy that you didn't learn at school, if I can say like
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
Because, I don't know, something happened, unexpected happened.
Yeah. Every constellation is unexpected. If I
Really?
start a constellation, I never know how it will turn out.
Really?
I have an idea, but the thing is, if you wanna really do a constellation, you have to have a very open heart and an open mind. If I work with you and I have a preconceived idea,
Yes.
your constellation should look like da 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 da, it will be a mess. You know?
Okay.
I have to be flexible. I try things. You know, sometimes, you know, there was someone who came and he said, you know, I really have severe doubts that my dad is my biological father.
Okay.
I know my mom had an affair with someone else, and I would really like to find out. It's very important for me. So I had a representative for the father and a representative for him, and the relationship was quite okay. And then I put I took someone for this maybe father. There was no connection at all, nothing. And I could really say, as far as I'm concerned, that's your dad. He has been the affair of your mom, but he's not your father. On the other hand, I remember a constellation I had in France where the son was completely uneasy with the father, completely. And the mother was kind of like as if she was not present,
Yes.
really. And then I had this intuition, this idea, maybe someone else is the father. Maybe she left someone else. And I put another man in, and mom was melting, you know, and
Yes.
the son was like completely drawn to this guy. So there was a high probability that his father was not his real father. It's
Yes.
always possibilities. It's not this is the truth. That's important to know,
Yes.
you know.
But all this possibility is because the people feel.
Yes.
Okay, and you are sure about their feeling. You succeed to find out exactly.
Yes.
The.
Yes. And I can really tell you. Meanwhile, I trust more what shows up in the constellation than what people tell me.
Okay.
I had it often enough that someone told me, well, you know, I have this problem, but actually my family was okay. And when we constellated the family, mom didn't want to look at dad, and dad was very angry and stuff. And you know, and in retrospect, he or she always said, yeah, I think that was very true. You know, I love to have this certain positive image, but it's not the reality.
Okay, yes. I am still surprised about how the people succeed to put themselves immediately in this connection with the energy of ancestors or of other people.
Yes, me too. Me too.
How it could be possible? How could happen these things? You don't do nothing, they do nothing, and it just happened. Well,
I only have a very non-scientific. I mean, there's a lot of scientific explanations about it. There is this thing about Rupert Sheldrake, the morphogenetic field. You know, there's a lot of things, but I really cannot help with those scientific explanations. I'm more.
What you feel.
Yeah, but. I have this image I sometimes tell people, you know, it's like we are here, you know, and a little above us there is another field, another area, and in this area everything is clear. There is no distinctions, there is no secrets. So sometimes we take a little plug from our ear and plug it in there, right?
Yes.
And then we have all these informations. And this is somehow what happens in a constellation.
But the people try to do this kind of connection in different spirituality technique, if I can say like this. They practice transcendental meditation, or I don't know what kind of Indian meditation, or even Christian meditation or prayers. And every time it's to connect with other field or with ourselves. And they spend a lot of times our energy in these practices. And in your practice, it's something that you say that it's like this.
It's very immediate.
Yes.
It's very immediate.
This makes me very difficult to understand because it takes such a short time to connect with somebody that you don't have any connection at all.
Yeah. I mean, you can make a little experiment when you are the next time paying something at a supermarket, and the lady who is serving you is kind of like unfriendly or what. Just take a fraction of a second time, a few seconds, and just try to feel who she is and what is going on for her. And sometimes you will be astonished, because you can feel very clearly what's going on for her and why she is the way she is. Okay. And if you would start to do this much more, a lot of trouble would fall away.
Thank you, Klaus. Dragii mei, vedeți, vorbim despre o terapie foarte interesantă, constelații familiale, cu invitatul nostru Klaus Kostka, psihoterapeut din Germania cu peste 30 de ani de practică. Vom reveni după o scurtă pauză publicitară să mai dezvoltăm acest subiect foarte, foarte captivant. Am revenit și pentru că invitatul nostru de astăzi vorbește și studiază și practică o tehnică foarte interesantă numită constelații familiale, ne-am gândit să vă punem o întrebare și dumneavoastră, celor de acasă, așa că vă invit să dați mesaje la 1331 și să răspundeți la întrebarea cât de conectați vă simțiți față de membrii familiei dumneavoastră și poate să vă puneți întrebarea și de ce. Deci cât de conectați sunteți cu membrii familiei dumneavoastră și ce înseamnă asta pentru dumneavoastră? Pentru că acesta este subiectul nostru de astăzi și am văzut înainte de pauza publicitară cât este de interesant, de rapid și de reconfortant să aflăm lucruri care aparțin familiei noastre, legăturilor dintre membrii familiei noastre și chiar dintre cei care au trecut în lumea de dincolo. Ne întoarcem la invitatul nostru de astăzi, Klaus Kostka. Klaus, so we talk about this family constellation. In which way you are creative? And I ask this question because this is a creativity TV show and we talk with all our guests about creativity. And I think that this therapy, it's really, really creative.
Yeah, I think so too, because there is no no fixed rule you have to follow. You know, there are certain procedures in therapies, in other therapies, you have to follow to get to a certain result.
Yes, a recipe.
A recipe. We don't have recipes in constellation. Of course, we have a certain. We look for a certain order. For example, if you constellate a family, then normally you have dad, you have mom, and then you have the children, the oldest, the second, the third, the fourth, or they stand in front of the parents. It's you know, you have certain things you can go for, but in last consequence, the creativity I see in this method is that you have to all the time look for the best and the benefit of the client. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what you think, what I think. It doesn't matter what I think is necessary or not necessary. It matters what is necessary for the client. What does he or she need?
Yes. I understand there are some important things to take care in this kind of constellation, and one of these rules or law is the law of belonging. Or another one is the law of the order in the family. And like in the old story, it's very important who are the big brother, the second brother, the smaller brother. It's the firstborn. It's more important than what you can tell us about this.
Well, the firstborn is not more important than the secondborn, but he just has a different position.
A different position, which is?
The firstborn normally takes care of the parents.
Yes.
When they are old, but at the same time, he has more. He receives more. In Germany, at least, the firstborn was the one who would inherit the farm, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, and who would take care for the parents on the farm, and he would do the thing with the farm. So there are certain things which are necessary to just get a certain tranquility, a certain peace into the constellation, into the configuration. You know?
Okay.
And the law of belonging is, or the law of belonging is a very important one, because you know, I had it oftentimes that somewhere in the past someone was excluded.
Okay.
Like a sister or whatever, because she was crazy.
Okay.
Or she was a murderer. Or she did strange things. She married someone who was completely not in their parents' well-meaning, you know.
Yes.
And so they were excluded from the family. Now something very interesting happens. If someone is excluded from the family, even in the past, in later generations, someone who comes afterwards has to take on this person's destiny. Okay. So sometimes the girls, the boys start to behave in a very strange way, and nobody can explain why this boy or this girl is doing what he or she is doing, you know. And sometimes it really helps when you start looking at your family origins, at your family lineage, and to re-invite this person, to give this person a place in the lineage, and then this stress completely falls away.
So we repeat the story of our parents or ancestors?
We do.
All the time?
Unfortunately, most of the time. Until we start to become conscious about what do we want to create in this world.
Okay.
You know? It's like if we stay in the old patterns,
and we become creative.
If we stay in the old patterns, we will not change anything.
Yes.
Because we cannot become creative when we stay in the old patterns.
Yes, of course.
It's absolutely impossible.
Impossible,
we will, in a way, act like daddy and mommy. Maybe a little less extreme. But when you know, when it really gets to moments of stress and moments of hardship, we will kind of like react the same way our parents have reacted. And that's that will not create a new world, that will not create children who have a different sense of life. This will prolong what's going on, you know. And if we really want to look for something better, then we have to look for our children. And if we want to look for our children, we definitely are not allowed to make the same mistakes as our parents did. We will make our own mistakes, don't worry.
I'm sure about this.
You know?
So it's very clear for an observer to see that the children repeat the parents, but for themselves, they don't succeed to see the same. No? Even they say, I will never do this like my mother.
That's a great thing, because if you say I will never do like my mother, you are bound to do it like your mom.
Okay.
Because the things you don't want, you get. It's a very, very interesting law, and it's very easy to understand. The more you oppose something, the more you have to have your consciousness there to, under no circumstance, become like this. But this means there is no possibility to loosen yourself from this original impact.
Yes.
There's a very nice sentence in the constellation I sometimes use is when a mother. Let's say there's a family and the father was an alcoholic, you know, and the son starts not being alcoholic, but he has some manifestations, you know, and it's a very interesting sentence when the mom can say to the son, "I agree if you become like your father." Even if father was an alcoholic, but because the moment she says this, something can relax inside of the son.
Okay.
And he doesn't have to become like this. You know, it's okay if I become like this, but I don't want to become like this.
Yes.
Like
it's an acceptance.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. But you participate to this kind of therapy, not as a therapist, as a client.
Absolutely.
Yes? When? It was before or in between?
Both.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, you know, I'm just a human being.
Yes.
And I have my things to work also. And when I need to work, I look for people I can work with. Sometimes it's constellation, sometimes it's something else. You know, I'm under no illusion that we are ready one day. I said yesterday in this course, I said, you know, our path is a path of lifelong learning. And the last thing we learn is how we can let go when we die. So we go without kicking and screaming. We just let go. You know?
Yes. And when we start first time, it was how it happened.
When I started with constellation first time?
Yes.
Well, that was an interesting story. I had a very good friend, and he was one of the first guys who were trained in constellation. And he said, "That's really great. You should come." And you know, it's like from time to time you have the things, you know, the new method, the new healer, the new guru, the new whatever. You go there, and then everything is wonderful and everything is fine, and your problems will be solved forever. So I'm very, very. I don't trust those kind of movements.
Yes.
And I always said, you know, I have no time. I work myself. I'm too tired. But one day I ran out of excuses, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go. And of course, I will tell him afterwards all the things which did not work. You know, because I was a therapist with 15 years of experience at that time already. And so I went, and I was absolutely fascinated from the first moment on, because I could see what was happening for people. And even more when I did my constellation, that was like an earth-shaking experience for me. You know, and then I said, okay, I will sit on this chair, and you will train me. So he trained me.
Yes, and you started like this.
Yes.
Very nice. It was 16 years before, you said?
Yes.
Okay. And if the people, not all the people will come to you at your constellation, even that you come in Romania in February, in June, again in July. I saw.
March
I have
also. Yeah,
March,
February,
I can
April,
tell you.
I guess. Yeah.
Just a second to say in Romania. Dragii mei, deci în februarie, în martie, în iunie, în iulie, în septembrie și în decembrie sunt lunile în care psihoterapeutul Klaus Kostka va fi din nou în România și va face constelații familiale, așa că cine dorește îl poate contacta pe Facebook și să participați, să aveți o astfel de experiență extraordinară. Până atunci vreau să vedem ce ne recomandă așa ca exercițiu de creativitate. We have in this TV show part called creativity exercise.
Yep.
And we give an exercise, something concrete, something not just a general advice.
Yeah.
An exercise to do for the people to do it at home.
Yeah.
Can you have an example, please?
Sure. You just take a moment time, and you should be alone in the room, and you sit down, and you have both feet on the ground, and then you focus on your breathing. You know, you do it for a minute or so. To calm down, to relax, to feel your body as good as possible. Don't put yourself under stress. Oh my God, I'm not feeling my legs or whatever. Just do as good as possible, you know. And then you just imagine your parents and yourself. And then you just look when you are the center of this image. Where are your parents located? Are they beside you, on your right side, on your left side? Are they behind you? Are they far away? And you just feel, what is the connection I have to my dad? What is the connection I have to mom? What is the connection I maybe have to my siblings? And you just allow this to take some space, and then you ask yourself, is this how I want it? Is this how I want them to be, close or not so close? Am I completely okay? Is this wonderful? Is this great? Or is this not what I want? That means, should I change something? And if you want to change something, you ask yourself, what would it be I needed to change in order for the relationship to change? What do I want to do? Or where do I want to go in terms of where does the relationship need to go? Like that.
Very nice. And if you change the places in this exercise, it happens something in reality?
It's possible, but you know, in the exercise I would only use it like a possibility to see what's going on.
To realize what is the situation in your relationship.
Let's say mom is standing far, far away. Mm-hmm. Then I would ask myself, why is she so far away? Mm-hmm. Because normally we have a good contact, but why is my internal image that she's so far away? And then I would start being more aware of what is really happening.
Between me and my mother.
Between me and my mom. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I would probably also address it one day, like this.
But if by force, by imagination, I take my mother from the place where she is far away and put it exactly near me, or even in my arms, it helps. It's
no.
No.
It would be like violence.
Okay.
You know? because there's two people involved, not only me, I want mommy to be on my side, there's also mommy, she has a reason for being far away.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah?
So I must convince her.
That's true.
So I must change my behavior to make her come closer.
For example, but also she must change something.
Okay.
It's not only one-sided. It's relation has always two parts.
Two parts.
You know.
Yes.
If I just grab you and put you over here, you will be very angry with me. You know. But
Yes.
if we both make a step toward each other, then we can meet on a different level.
Yes. So this exercise is just to realize what happened.
It's
It's
just
not an
for
exercise
relation.
to change the relationship.
No, there is. As far as I'm concerned, there is no exercise to change the relation.
No, just
No.
in reality to do something.
Yes. Yes.
Very, very nice.
Yes.
Okay, so I regret that we didn't have time to talk about art therapy, but
Yeah.
I hope that sometimes you will come again in Romania and you will come again to talk about this.
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Yes. And what is the, I don't know, an advice to give to the people to have better relationship? How we can do?
Well, there's a few things I'd like to mention. Number one is we always think that we are right and the other person is wrong. And that's not true. And even if we are in a real conflict with someone, the other person suffers as much as we do. Even if the other person is louder than I am or more violent. And last consequence, it's all suffering. So that's one thing, one important thing to keep in mind. The other person is suffering the same way I do. Maybe it just looks a little different, but not a big difference. And the second thing is, like, if you are in a real conflict with someone, normally we go like, it's your fault, you know? If you had looked at me differently, or if you had said something differently, I would have reacted differently, we would not have any conflict.
Yes.
It's a very different approach to ask yourself, like, how did I create this? So we have a big conflict in relationship, whatever, and instead of going, you ask yourself, wait a minute, how did I create it? By being unfriendly, by being unkind, by not listening to my partner, whatever it is. Because the moment you ask yourself, how did I create it, you get a possibility to change something. You know?
Yes.
You will always resist me if we are in a relationship and I want to change you.
Yes.
You go like, come on, I'm not going to change. You know? But if I start looking for myself and going like, how do I create it? What is my part in this? Then I can start changing myself. If I change myself, you very naturally will change also.
Yes.
So it's like more the normal way we do is like this, you know, and the other thing is like, it's more like you look what's going on and you go a little back, so the other one comes, so it starts to become a dance.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
true. Very, very nice. Thank you very much, Klaus. So, dragii mei, deci am vorbit astăzi despre constelații familiale, despre cum ne putem, prin această terapie extraordinară, să ne îmbunătățim relațiile cu cei cu care avem de îmbunătățit relațiile, de a apropia distanțele dintre noi și de a ne iubi mai mult. Și iată că unul dintre sfaturile cu care ne-am apropiat de sfârșitul acestei emisiuni, așa cum o spun și eu și a spus-o și invitatul nostru, într-o relație și mai ales într-o relație de iubire este foarte important să fie pace și armonie, nu neapărat să avem dreptate. Așa că invitatul nostru ne-a invitat să ne uităm la noi și să nu ne dorim să-l schimbăm pe celălalt, ci mai degrabă să vedem ce putem schimba la noi ca să putem genera schimbarea în celălalt. Vă mulțumesc foarte mult! Invitatul meu de astăzi m-a inspirat să vorbesc despre un cuvânt care ne macină pe toți, și în sensul bun și în sensul rău, din păcate, sau mai bine spus în sensul constructiv sau destructiv, și anume responsabilitatea. Pentru că, într-adevăr, într-o relație este foarte greu să ne asumăm responsabilitatea și este întotdeauna mai ușor să dăm vina pe celălalt. Și atunci responsabilitatea este a celuilalt, nu este a noastră. Sau uneori dăm vina așa pe natură, pe Dumnezeu, pe cineva mai puțin admirabil și credem că oricum ar fi, nu este vina noastră. Și în comunicare, cum vedem această fugă de responsabilitate? Când avem expresii de genul nu am timp nici să respir, sau sunt contra cronometru, sunt pe fugă, nu e treaba mea, nu e domeniul meu de activitate, nu e în fișa postului. Toate aceste lucruri, toate aceste expresii de fapt denotă o fugă a noastră, a celui care vorbește, de a fi responsabil, de a-și asuma ideea de a îți lua în mâini propriul destin, de a-ți lua în mâini propria decizie și propria așa zis întâmplare, care de fapt nu este o întâmplare, cineva spunea că nu există coincidențe și a spune în felul acesta nu există întâmplări, pentru că tot ce se întâmplă de fapt este generat de noi. E adevărat că nu întotdeauna lucrurile țin numai de noi, pentru că o relație este în ambele sensuri, așa cum discutam și cu invitatul nostru, și comunicarea în general este în ambele sensuri și are două capete, un receptor și un emițător. Dar, într-adevăr, în viață lucrurile se întâmplă din foarte, foarte multe motive. Nu numai din cauza noastră sau datorită nouă se întâmplă anumite lucruri, dar e foarte, foarte important să recunoaștem, să ne recunoaștem și partea noastră de responsabilitate, partea noastră de contribuție, atât în lucrurile pozitive care ni se întâmplă în viață, adică să fim capabili să ne asumăm meritele și să ne bucurăm pentru lucrurile bune pe care le facem, dar și în zona cealaltă, în care dăm vina pe alții pentru toate lucrurile rele care ni se întâmplă. Și de aceea v-aș invita, de exemplu, să vă scoateți din vocabular cuvântul problemă. Foarte multă lume îl folosește și, din păcate, îl folosește în mod gratuit, pentru că nu este nevoie de el. Am o problemă. Te cheamă nu știu cine pentru că are o problemă. De fapt, este doar o situație și acesta este cuvântul pe care vă invit să-l folosiți și situație înseamnă pur și simplu o situație, adică un lucru la care ne uităm și vedem ce este de făcut. Nu e neapărat o problemă care trebuie rezolvată sau merită rezolvată. O problemă, de câte ori ne gândim la ea, chiar din copilărie, din clasa 1, când ni se dădeau probleme la matematică, este ceva care are un enunț și ea cere o rezolvare. Întotdeauna situațiile în viață nu sunt neapărat de rezolvat. Uneori ne putem doar uita la ele, învăța ceva din ele, observa. Nu toate situațiile sunt de rezolvat, dar noi atunci când spunem o problemă, parcă ne apasă ceva și mai ales pe femei le apasă, pentru că bărbații sunt mai construiți așa într-un fel de a rezolva problemele, dar femeile atunci când aud cuvântul problemă, parcă simt așa o apăsare. Americanii folosesc și sfătuiesc în comunicare să înlocuim cuvântul problemă cu provocare, dar nu prea este în cultura noastră să folosim cuvântul provocare, nu prea ne este propriu și nici nu prea ne place. Nu vrem provocări. Avem suficiente probleme în viața de zi cu zi, suficiente provocări ca să ne mai dorim una. De aceea vă invit pentru astăzi să vă scoateți din vocabular pe cât posibil cuvântul problemă și să înlocuiți cu cuvântul situație. Vă mulțumesc!